Good evening, City of Temecula. Tonight is Monday, May the 8th at 6 p.m. My name is Kathy Sizemore. I am the chairperson for the Community Services Commission, and I'm calling this meeting of the Temecula Community Services Commission to order. We will begin our meeting with the flag salute led by Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you. Please stand and put your hand over your heart.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Kingsburg. All right, now let's have our roll call done by our Commission Secretary, Tracy Toninez.
Thank you. Commissioner Castro?
Here.
Commissioner Hawks?
Here.
Commissioner Kingsburg?
Here.
Chairperson Sizemore?
Here.
Okay. We have 4 present with the absence of Vice Chairperson Audie.
And Commissioner Vice Chair Audie has texted me that he is 5 minutes late.
Okay. I will make a note of that.
And
Thank
let
you.
the record record he's here once he arrives. Thank you, Tracy. All right. Do we have any public comments tonight?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you. We will go ahead and dispense with the reading of those rules. And we will move up our business item. We will be having a receive and file a presentation on the draft capital improvement plan, the CIP, projects for fiscal years 2024 through 2028. And we have a representative from Public Works here with us tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Kathy.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone, commissioners. My name's Avlan Ovjar. I'm with the city's Department of Public Works Capital Improvement Program. And for tonight's item, I'll just be giving a brief overview on the draft proposed CIP 5-year program and touching on a bunch of projects that I think would be of interest to this commission. So we are on schedule. The City Council workshop is scheduled for May 25th, adoption June 13th, and of course implementation July 1, the first of the fiscal year. And these are the numbers. And if you recall, these are largely the same as last year in terms of a 5-year program with some slight increases. We saw a net increase of 1 project in total projects. The total estimated cost is up from about $790-ish to $815. And of course, we still are maintaining a very strong showing of funded portion of that 5-year program. So from all the projects within the CIP budget, I just kind of grouped as I saw fit where I thought you guys would be interested in. So for new and improved facilities, we have a lot of things going on. The CRC renovation is a 3-phase project. Phase 1 is already under construction. What you see there is the first phase is largely to bring that old building up to code, if you will. We did call it a home inspection, if you will, when we first started this project and discovered before we do any expansions or improvements that there was a lot to do just to get it ready for that. So we spent about $3.5 million, as you can see, up redoing the slabs inside the multi-purpose room and several other locations. Both roofs got redone, and of course we have addressed all the ADA inside and outside. This is almost ready to be complete. I think June we'd be able to reopen it. And as I mentioned, it's a 3-phase, so the second phase is already under design. We're probably halfway through. That'll be where you see the largest changes at the CRC. That's looking like $5 million right about now. And that's when you'll see additional square footage, as well as what I'll call tenant improvements to some of the interior spaces. That would be on target for the fiscal year of 23-24. The 3-phase idea was to design one while we're constructing the other and just knock this out in 3 to 4 years. The MRC, well underway. Welcome, Gary. This one, obviously, where we demolished the old 6,500 square foot building, and we replaced it with an 8,600 square foot building. If you've been out there now, you can basically see what it's going to look like, as well as the pool. I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically an $8 to $9 million design build contract to deliver everything that you see there in terms of a new building. That one is looking like after FF&E, probably a September timeframe for a grand opening, if you will. Mary Phillips Senior Center here in town is getting a much needed makeover. You can kind of see from the before and projected photos at the left there. The outside will get a complete makeover, full siding removal, the fascia, the columns redressed, and both the roofs will be, or the roof will be replaced. On the interior, the restrooms will get updated primarily for ADA, but at the same time, we'll see nicer upgrades in the restrooms, lighting throughout the building, casework, new doors, and windows throughout. We just started construction on this project, and we're targeting August for an opening or reopening. An improved facility at Mike Nagar Park is going to see the dog park very soon. The blue hatched area that you see there is about 33,000 square feet. It will be divided into 2 large pens, one for large breed, one for small. And much like our other dog parks, you will see the doggy bowl fountain, seating. We will have a security light for this location. This one, we are going to council in the second meeting of May to approve plans and go out to bid. With that, we would be looking at a August-September construction. The Harveston Community Building at Harveston Community Park is going to get expanded. A little hard to see here, but if you look at the aerial photo, you'll see basically what the existing building looks like. And underneath there is basically one big room. And TCSD has done their best to partition it off and insert some desks to make it a usable space. So what we're going to do is take that existing space, rework it, and expand in both directions. So instead of one large room that it's divided off, we'll have at least 3 dedicated rooms and dedicated offices, a receiving area, and dedicated storage space, and create that outdoor patio so that the classes that are currently just being done out in the open can be enclosed. This is the latest concept, and that's pretty much it. Few fine tweaks, but soon after this, we'll be going into an architectural agreement for formal design. This will take a little while, I would guess at least 8 to 10 months for design before we get to construction. So of course, we continue to expand and improve upon our existing bike facilities. I'm not going to touch on all of these, but Great Oak Trail lighting, 100 lights on the trail adjacent to Pechanga Drive, between Deer Hollow and Loma Linda. Look for that, I would say, at the end of this calendar year, solar lights. The Railroad Sports Park trails, you kind of see the latest concept, and this is very preliminary at the bottom there. Essentially getting in some hike and bike trails on the slope between Paba Road and the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. Again, we're just starting out on this. The Temecula Creek Southside Trail, if you look at the 17-mile loop, the red section is essentially what we're looking at. This one, we do not have the construction money, but we do have full design money. And as we work on this, we'll continue to look for ATP grants and other opportunities to either build this ideally all at once, but if we have to, we will break it up. The Santa Gertrudis Trail Phase 2, that is the undercrossing at Margarita Road, where currently the trail folks must get up off of the trail and onto the streets. That is basically building an undercrossing there. And once that's in place, you can tell that from Joseph all the way to Old Town, you can more or less ride or walk off the street. That one is, I think we're finishing up design about August, September of this year. So we'd move into construction toward the latter part of the year. That's about it. And of course, the playground, what I call the replacement program, love this project. And we've been investing in this for years. And at the gym, at other places that people know that I work at the city, and they know that I do interchanges and freeways. I've heard so many comments of people telling, we love that playground, we love the playground, ever since we started doing it. And when I started visiting them, I was like, wow, this is much better than the steel chain swings and steel slides that I'm used to. The locations here, we're continuing our investment, are up for this year. Those 4 are going to be improved, and those renderings are accurate for each of those locations. And I believe we are looking at installation by September of this calendar year. So definitely something to look forward to. Continuing with play, the much anticipated splash pad at the CRC, the kiddie/wading pool that is on the south side of the building, just around the corner from the main pool, will be replaced by splash pad, and these renderings are also pretty accurate. If you've been out there, you'll know that the existing wading pool area is kind of shaped similar to that thumbnail, if you will, so you can imagine how big and how extensive this is. The big tippy cup will be there, as well as some of the other tippy things, the sprays, the nozzles, as well as a smaller water slide, if you will, much more appropriate in terms of height and slope for the littler ones. This one is also coming along nicely. We're going to be out to bid on this one very soon. The idea is to be in construction no later than August, and that'll be about 6 months worth of construction, so look for early winter, spring opening. The Mary Phillips Senior Center will also see some play. On the left-hand side there, you'll see that yellow rectangle I jimmied in there, basically behind the Temecula Valley Museum and across the driveway from the center, which is to the right of it. Currently, that is basically a grass area, so it'll be replaced with 3 courts, seating, shade, a wrought iron fence, and surrounded by some newer landscaping. I got this photo off the internet because I wanted to show people playing, but I guarantee you it's going to look nicer than what you're seeing there. This one also on the verge. We are awarding or recommending award tomorrow night, and so we will probably have construction, I would say, start in June or July. There is some order times associated with shade structures, but once we get started, that's about a 2-month project to construct. So in theory, this could be opened up similar time frame as the Mary Phillips Senior Center itself. And that will be operated out of the Senior Center as well. More play at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. The existing hockey rink will be revamped. Good effort here on my department. We put out a survey for needs and wants for this rebuild, and the participation rate on that was very high. We also followed that up with a community meeting to go over those results and talk to folks to get more input. So what you're seeing here is kind of a result of that. When we do things like that, it's kind of a wish list, and we see what we can fit in budget-wise. What I can tell you is for sure the surface will get the tile surfacing that is for roller play. The backer boards will get replaced. There will be a roof on it, an indoor-outdoor roof similar to what you see in those the pictures there. The scoreboard is very probable, and same with seating. This one is a little different project because it's difficult to design and then build, so we will probably do a design build on this, and we are about ready to put out an RFQ for design builders on this. Even more play at the sports park. The pickleball courts are landing there at the pit. Currently, what you see there is an overlay on top of essentially the entire soccer field. And then you're looking at 17 permanent dedicated pickleball courts, including 1 championship/ADA court, which has a little bit extra dimension, staging area and shade, which folks really want for facilities like this, and asphalt parking on both sides so that people don't have to make that big trek from the parking lots across north-south. security lighting, solar for the parking lot. And one of the reasons that this was a great spot, aside from noise, light, and other things, was that we could take advantage of the Musco lights that are there. And we'll be able to re-aim those and get the same intensity that's needed for night play on pickleball courts. This one we'll probably keep designing through the end of this calendar year and go to construction in spring with the idea of a summer opening for these courts. A couple of other projects. Skate park, built a long time ago, centers around ramps and bowls. Not as popular these days with skaters. We're probably looking at more of a street style type facility. But much like the hockey rink, we will definitely do a survey and enlist the various organizations that have a really good handle on what is liked and to help with the design. So we'll follow that same route. This one is more like design through fiscal year 23-24 and then a construction in 24-25. But the idea is what you see out there now is most, if not all of that, will have to come out to do what we think is going to be the new skate park. And then, of course, on the right-hand side there, you see that is the latest concept for the soccer fields at the future detention basin. We've shown this to Riverside Flood. They're not super happy with it, but we will keep working with them. This would be the best case scenario in terms of number of fields and parking along Jefferson there. They have their woes trying to get funding for that phase of the Merida Creek improvements. And of course, they're very concerned about anything that might jeopardize that. We'll continue to work with them. We're not in a huge rush because we see the price tag is pretty far out there for us, that we have plenty of design money, but we don't have nearly any construction funds. So a smaller project might help us out unless we get a big grant someplace. And so that one's still in concept phase. And then I should mention, on all these projects, whenever we do capital projects, whether it's park projects or street projects, we always look at the transition plan to make sure we can address any of the shortcomings that have been identified in terms of ADA access. So all those projects, almost all of them have, if it's within the project limits, improvements. But additionally, we do standalone projects just to chip away at the transition plan and other things. The restroom replacement has been a very popular thing. The picture there is from Ronald Reagan Sports Park. Next on the list is Vail Ranch. Some of you may know that there's a porta potty out there. So more than likely we will get a prefab similar to what you see there, but on a much smaller scale. The ADA plan, the transition plan for this year, we're working on a ramp from an ADA ramp from Margarita Road down to north-south at Ronald Reagan Sports Park. So that's the project for the transition plan standalone project. And of course, we continue to fund the security camera program. So for the coming year, the MRC, the CRC, the Harveston Park, and Friendship Park will all see security cameras installed. That's all I had. I probably should have warned you that I know on the staff report there's a summary of new projects. That was not what I based my presentation on, but I'm happy to answer any questions related to this, or I'll do my best on that list.
Thank you, Alvin. We appreciate having you here
Of
with
course.
us tonight. Very thorough report. I appreciate that you tailored it to specifically, we care about all projects, but we do especially love the projects related to community services. So thank you for highlighting those in your report.
Absolutely.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions from our commissioners. And we will start with, let's see, who should I start with tonight? Commissioner Castro.
Good evening. Thank you for that report. It was very thorough. I noticed on the one list you didn't address the Nicholas Road extension. What is the status of that?
So the Nicholas Road extension is going to be constructed. It went back and forth, but now it's going to be constructed by the developer, and that will extend Nicholas Road from where it currently is extended to north, I'll say north of Butterfield Stage Road, and take it all the way to where it intersects Calle Chapos. The reason that the bike is on there is because there is a bike lane or a class 1 that's associated with that project. The status I do not know as far as construction when they're starting, but it would include the bike lane that connects up to Joseph.
So that's, Woodside's gonna do that construction from Somers Bend developers who's doing that work?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And that'll connect to the park and ride? Okay.
Yeah, right. If you're out there now, there's 2 intersections from Somers Bend, and the northerly one. If you look to the west of Butterfield Stage, you'll see a couple hundred feet of brand new road. The Nicholas extension will come off of the end of that road and cut on the Nicholas Road alignment, if you will, behind the properties, and tie into Nicholas / Calle Garrisol where it bends in.
Yeah.
And there's a class 1 associated with that.
Alvin and Commissioner, if I may, I did see a report from the city manager. He sent out a report that stated that extension would be 24-25, so completion in 25, starting in 24, with all the things that you said, with the developers coming in and supporting that. And it would be from Joseph Road to that intersection at Calle Chapos, right?
Well,
I know that's different, that's city.
right.
Yeah, that would be city development, but they listed Joseph Road to Calle Chapos and then Nicholas Road from Calle Chapos to Butterfield.
That is correct.
Okay.
The distinction between the private and public is whose responsibility it is, but the developer will be doing all of it. So we'll enter into an agreement to pay them to do our side as well, so that it just goes under one contractor.
Because I thought I'd seen something that said they were gonna start this month, and I was surprised to hear that when I saw that they were still doing eminent domain acquisitions and other things, so.
I saw 24, 25, but it is
It's
moving
close.
quickly, yeah. Moving.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the report that came out, there was 2 lines for traffic signal upgrades. Either it says pedestrian signal equipment upgrade phase 2 and safety lights and signals communications upgrade. What is that?
So those 2 projects, our department, Nick, the traffic engineer, scored huge. He basically got us close to $4 million in Highway Safety Improvement Program HSIP funds. So that's what you see there for the 3.7. The 500,000 is for, I think, 5 locations where we're converting the left-hand turn to a protected permissive. So for those of you who don't know, most left-hand turns, either you have a protected left-hand turn where you get to go first, and other places you have a green circle where you yield to oncoming traffic. The protective permissive is most frequently seen what's in a shape that they call a doghouse. So you have a red light at the top, and then you have 2 sets of yellow and green. So that 500,000 will go to, and I don't have the locations in front of me. Yeah, there's several in town. Overland Drive, or not Overland Drive, Overland Trail, and there's a few others to convert those. And if you haven't seen it, Tehachapi has it on Red Hawk Parkway. So it's really nice. You get protected, and you can go, and then after it's done, it goes to a green ball, so people can still go after yielding to oncoming traffic. It's very efficient.
It's very efficient for cars, not so good for bicycles.
Yeah. Good point. The 3.2 million, I don't have a detail. That is going to support at least 4 or 5 projects. But I don't know the information on the first one because I did that presentation, and at traffic safety, Nick did the other 3.2 million. But it is going to do a lot of things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. Commissioner Kingsburg, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the report. Found it very interesting and informative. A couple quick comments and then just a review of one item, please. I really like the looks of that hockey rink. I mean, that looks awesome. Very professional looking. I've seen that facility when I've been over for the pickleball classes there at McNagar Park, and that's going to be a huge improvement. So that's great. Excited about the progress we made on bike lanes, and I agree on the Margarita undercrossing. That's a huge plus. I'm hopeful that there's a path to keep that trail open somehow with a detour. I don't want to go on record to say that publicly here. Pass that on up the ladder. That with all the progress we made on that, it would be a shame to have to shut the trail down during construction. So hopeful on that somehow, some way. And then if you don't mind, without having to go all the way back in slides, I'm kind of curious about that third phase on the Margarita that you did. It was the first item you did. The Mike Nagar, no, it was the CRC. CRC, the third phase on that. Just in summation, is there plans for that yet, or is it still being developed?
No, that'll be developed. We did concept plans for everything early on, and that became a little prohibitive to do all at once. So we went into the phases. I just talked to the engineer. I did not know, it's continued improvements, but it's not as drastic as the square footage that will be added for the aquatics on phase 2 and the tweaking of interior space. I think it's more interior space tweaking for that phase 3.
That's great. Still under development and details. I was just trying to keep track of all my notes, and I lost that one. So thank you. Appreciate your report.
Of course.
Thank you, Commissioner Kingsford. Commissioner Hawks?
Thank you. I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm excited to see all these repairs and renovations for all the facilities we have, from CRC to Margarita Center to Senior Center. Lots of good things going on. You mentioned a lot of opening dates. For example, for CRC, the first phase is June. Is that means it's going to open while under construction?
No, the first phase is under construction now and will be finished in June. So it's been closed for the most part for several months now, with the exception of a little bit for the pool. So that repair portion will be done in June, and it'll be reopened completely until we get to the construction of phase 2.
So it'll be sometime next year.
Yes.
Okay. And what about the parks? You're talking about the playground. You said it'll start September. Does that mean how long will that take?
Those usually go pretty fast, like 1 to 2 months. Since it depends on how the contractor is set up. Sometimes with its multiple locations like this, sometimes they'll knock one by one and you'll see them open. Sometimes it'll be all of them kind of under construction for a couple months. But these, if you've seen them go before, they are pretty quick. We're not grading, we're not messing with a lot of stuff. It's really a removal of the existing stuff, putting in the surface, and then much of that stuff, the equipment itself is made someplace else, and so they just bring it and bolt it down and install it. So it goes up fairly quick.
Thank you, and really look forward to go to those facilities once they finish and check it out.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawks. Vice Chair Audi?
Thanks very much, Alvin. And I want to say, too, that we appreciate how you've made the presentation focus on a lot of the community services things. And I know there were a lot of, when you look at those traffic signals, we do think of auto-centric in helping autos, but I know that a lot of that work, too, is programming the walk signs to give some pedestrian time, and there is a movement in that direction, and that's really appreciated. On the undercrossing, and when you had it up on the slide, it said Santa Gertrudis undercrossing, so I assumed it was Margarita. Okay. And,
yes.
Okay, and your understanding is that would start sometime at the end of the year, correct?
End of the calendar year, early part of next. We're looking about August, September to finish the plans. And then it takes
Okay.
us, you know,
August.
roughly 4 months to get it on the street.
Great. August, September is finished plans, and then end of the year. I'm just saying it because originally we had heard, this is typical, we had heard June would be construction starting this year. So it's kind of good news that it's going down the road, and according to the comment that Commissioner Kingsburg said, I too would agree. We've had such an increase in traffic on that trail. To have it shut down during construction would, you know, especially in the summer. I mean, if it's shut down in January, February, maybe okay, but if we could have an alternative route and keep the momentum going on that, that would be fantastic. So again, you know, just wanted to make that comment and mirror what he is saying on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks again. Great presentation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Adi. I just have a few comments to share with you. Looking at all the projects, the hockey rink, the pickleball courts, I've been really impressed watching over the past couple of years as I've been a commissioner, the value that the city is taking in residents' input. Really appreciate seeing that. The hockey rink is one of those examples where we kind of had a vision, staff, that we're going to take it in one direction, and seeing the community, their involvement and their comments and how they shared what they wanted to see happen with that. It's been really great, impressive seeing the city respond and wholeheartedly take in their input. I would just encourage as we get closer to the pickleball courts, that we continue communicating with that community, because they're very passionate about pickleball and they know that sport very well, and so they know the needs that that facility needs to have. So I'd encourage that we continue to communicate with them. The splash pad at the CRC, I'm so excited to see that happening. I have young adults now, I have 20-somethings, and when they were around 3 years old, we went to Colorado Springs, and in their downtown, they had this big fountain splash pad. It was called Uncle Wilbur. And I just remember it was the summer, and those kids had such a great time in that fountain. And I thought, this is the perfect summertime activity for toddlers. Why don't we have one in Temecula? It's a little late. My 20-somethings probably won't let me take them there. But I'm so glad to see that type of a recreation facility coming to our community. That is going to be really great. I had one question on the projects that are listed on the report. We had the Old Town Temecula Parklets program. It has the word park in it.
Yeah.
Is it anything to do with the park? Or is it the other kind
No.
of park, like what you do with your car?
No, the parklets are, it's kind of it's coming kind of an industry name to represent the outdoor eating that expands on from restaurants and stuff.
Ah, okay.
So I don't know if you recall, originally the city had about $1 million slated to help some of the businesses that part of that 15 or 14 million we got from the feds to help propagate and help assist with that kind of a thing. When things changed, there was some money left over or unused, and I believe this 450 is to explore a similar approach to outdoor eating that wasn't the same as what came about with COVID, but a lot of people liked what they saw. It was a temporary situation, and from the public works standpoint, I could tell you that was not sustainable for a long period of time. If you think about utilities and storm drains and stuff like that, it was good to keep our businesses afloat, but long-term that would have come to bite us. So I think this money and planning, I shouldn't be speaking for planning, but planning is heading up this particular project to explore what can be done down here in Old Town and other locations. So Parklet is more like, I don't know, small, not real parks, but they often have plants and stuff around them.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat. I've seen, I can visualize it because I've seen kind of similar in other cities in their downtown areas. So thank you for explaining that. All right. Well, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Absolutely.
We look forward to hearing how City Council is going to move forward with everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Now to return to the first part of our agenda, we will have our division reports. We will begin with our recreation report, and we have that being led by Lisa Linton. Thank you for being with us tonight, Lisa.
Thanks. All right. I think I'm ready. All right, so the aquatics program, they got 50 swim lesson scholarships from First Five Riverside again this year, and applications for that will open later this month, and it's all on their website. They're currently celebrating their Water Safety Month through our social media platforms, and we'll have a finale Safer Summer Pool Party on the 27th from 12 to 2. And the team also participated in the Wolf Creek Safety Fair alongside our city's first responders and promoting the ABCs of safety, water safety. They also attended the Water Safety Summit in San Diego on April 25th, and our aquatics representatives were able to collaborate on drowning and aquatic injury prevention. Our lead lifeguard teams took the American Red Cross Lifeguard Instructor course and are able to instruct staff members and teach lifeguard classes in addition to 2 specific leadership trainings. And then last month, they went over their emergency action plans and reviewed critical thinking in emergencies along with in-water rescues. The contract classes team held 388 classes and spring camps last month with more than 5,000 participants. All of our activity guides were mailed out to residents and are available in our facilities and online. And registration opened Monday, May 1st, and it was our largest registration opening to date. We hosted the Community Services Expo on the 29th with 4,000 participants in attendance. And everyone enjoyed live entertainment by our class participants, games, face painting, and lots of giveaways. Our CRC, as we know, is currently under construction, and they're looking forward to welcoming the community back. The staff enjoyed CPRS in San Diego and held a pop-up teen zone event with Linfield High School students, and then made another visit to the Marietta Youth Center. Staff was able to complete some spring training or spring cleaning with a skate park and some of the storage containers that are in the parking lot. Our CRC staff was also at the Community Services Expo and called it a slam dunk. They provided information on programs and events at their location and had a basketball activity. Temecula Skate Park continues to partner with Neighborhood Drop-In and Prove It Patch for Scooter Jam. Their event was filled with music, refreshments, Jeff Waddleton, our staple MC, and then Scooter Zone provided some donations and giveaways for the event. They have another one on May 13th. Our Teen Zone is currently operating out of Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Library and the Temecula Skate Park. Their April activities included Easter rock painting, peep races, fruit flowers, and gardening. And the Teen Zone is excited to offer a new themed event with Wacky Wednesdays. They're doing a kickoff for the summer on Friday, June 9th. Our homeless outreach team has hit 27 exits for this year already. 3 of them were in April. They've also coordinated with our core team, code enforcement, SWAG, and Riverside County DA office on multiple projects and hosted their monthly meeting at the Help Center. Ronald H. Roberts Library had more than 17,000 visitors. Their in-person programs included Dia de los Niños celebration, poetry night, rainbow colors, art contest, and cover-to-cover club, and the Community Service Expo. Displays for Autism Acceptance Month, Poetry Month, Read Today and Lead Tomorrow, and our volunteer appreciation were set up throughout the library. Parks completed turf replacement for the Vorberg Park, and they updated the paint on the Harveston picnic shelters. Sports has our recognized youth baseball and softball leagues finishing their spring seasons, and they're preparing for All-Star season next month. TVSA soccer and city adult softball are currently mid-season, and the sports team is preparing for the CRC gym renovations to be complete and welcome programs back. Tournaments for youth baseball, softball, and senior softball will take place throughout May. Special events hosted Earth and Arbor Day celebration, Community Service Expo, and their signature Rod Run. Rod Run Show and Shine was a beautiful day with 500 and more cars, classic cars on display, and then 60,000 attendees throughout the day. They have Temecula Culture Fest, a tribute to heroes, National Trails Day, and Juneteenth coming up. And this month, the theater was all about tributes with big band, legends, classical, and dance, and so it was a show for everybody. The Merc hosted 13 performances featuring all music genres and stand-up comedy. And that concludes the first section of our report. If you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Lisa. We'll go ahead and take questions from our commissioners, and we will start with Vice Chair Audi.
Great report, Lisa, thanks. I don't have too much, but just want to, again, all the numbers, I'm here, the largest registration ever, and we're at, what, 34 years now, I think? They're 34 years old, and we set the record, and our population hasn't grown that much, so that just says everything about our department. Just great job on that. And I just want to thank you guys again for your commitment to being an active community. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Audi. We'll start with Commissioner Hawks.
Thank you, Lisa, for the short and precise report. I enjoyed it. And one comment is I look forward to going to the Safer Summer Pool Party in a couple of weeks. That'll be the first time I go there. I heard that was a great success last year.
Great.
And the second, I have a question regarding the homeless outreach. Just this month, I noticed an increase of homeless from different shopping centers and on-ramps of freeways. So I'm not sure what's the reason behind the sudden surge.
Typically, it's because the weather's warmer. You know, we had a pretty unusually wet winter that you know, a lot of them found different alternatives, so they're not outside, so you didn't see as much. So and with warmer weather, we usually see a little bit of an uptick. And to that point, actually, you know, we held our pick count in January of this year, and everybody that's in homeless outreach understands it's a flawed system for counting, getting a true count for your homeless outreach numbers, and we're still waiting on the official numbers to come through. But with the understanding that during the warmer time, usually we'll have a little bit of a higher homeless population. We plan to have our own internal census. We're most likely going to do it in June, so it'll be a higher number than our pick count. But we were expecting that, and we're trying to make sure we stay on top of that so we don't see a big increase. But yes, we've noticed that as well. So.
And are you going to do something different to help alleviate it?
The main thing is just constant contact. You know, as you know, we can't force someone to not be homeless. You know, so we between city staff, SWAG, our core team, we're just making daily contact with these individuals to offer them the resources that are out there, encourage them to take those resources, and then if they're not accepting them, you know, making sure that we have the support from either law enforcement or other departments and staff to to stay on top of it so we don't get some of the unwanted behavior that it can lead to sometimes. So, yeah. So the main thing is just we'll continue to meet with them daily, and that's really the best we can do until they're willing to accept those resources.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawks. Since we're on the topic of the homeless outreach, my chiropractor is over where Michael's grocery store or craft store is, and I was talking with her about the situations they have with homeless, and their building complex is locked off, but they get constantly broken into. And I had asked her, do you and your staff, who's all women, do you feel safe? They're like, no, we don't feel safe here. So that might be something, I don't know if there's areas that maybe we need to patrol more, or,
So that is probably our busiest shopping center right now.
Okay.
So we are very aware of it. The issue with that is the creek that's behind it.
yeah.
It's private property, and so we don't have a lot of control as far as removing dangerous and unhealthy encampments or clearing old debris that's there. So we have actually been in discussions with the property owner, trying to look for some solutions to that.
Okay.
But private property is one of our biggest challenges, just because we as a city, we can't go in and remove something. Our hands are tied to a certain extent. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to get a little better control on that creek area. My wife works in that shopping center. I hear from her daily, so I understand. But yeah, that's probably one of our busiest spots right now. And our core team and RSL are very familiar and aware of that as well. So we're going to keep hitting it.
So in regards to that area right there, or in situations where you have private property, so when we're communicating with people that are dealing with some issues there, it's going to be an aspect of directing them back to their landlord, the property owner, to make them feel safer to deal with those issues. That's not necessarily a city issue?
Well, it overlaps so many, different, whether it's, with business owners, property owners. A lot of times we have to involve our code enforcement team that will, make sure that they're enforcing any code violations, anything like that. There's certain documentation that property owners need to provide to allow law enforcement to really even enforce trespassing laws on their property. And when you have those shopping centers that have multiple owners, many times out of the area, it can get quite difficult to contact them. So the one thing I could recommend is when you're talking to your friends or anything, if they see anything, any of these issues, to report it. The more times they get notified non-emergency, obviously if there's a crime taking place, they want to call 911. But notifying law enforcement, notifying us of through the app, contacting us through the homeless outreach email, just so we're aware of it.
Okay.
Like I said, we are very familiar with that area, but sometimes there's areas that we're not aware of until we hear about it. So definitely encourage them to report. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your help with that. Thank you. All right, Commissioner Kingsburg?
Thank you, Lisa. No questions, just a couple of comments. Congratulations to Community Services on what appears to be a successful Community Services Expo. And I know that was tied into the idea of people learning about classes, and obviously the evidence is there with the largest registration here in the first week. I know I was amongst the registrants a week ago on May 1st, so excited to be part of that success in a small way. And then appreciate the updates, Mr. Wooten, on the homeless outreach and the continued efforts. Nice to have a chance to meet you tonight and hear from you, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Kingsburg. I think that's all of you. Yeah, it's back to me now. Castro. God, I am off today. Commissioner Castro, thank you.
Thank you for the report. It was very informative. And I mentioned this before, and when I've talked to people, I live in Somers Bend, and how much they count on the classes, especially during the spring break time, to cover daycare and that type of thing. What's been the most popular class during that period, and how do you handle signups for the most popular classes?
Probably for spring break camps, the art classes, and then any of our outdoor sports classes are the most popular for spring break. For summer, it's kind of across the board. All of our summer fun camps fill up quickly, so we'll be looking forward to that too. But yeah, it's mostly the art classes because they're a little longer, and then our outdoor sports classes.
Are those first come, first serve, or is it like a lottery, or how do you?
They're all, they're first come, first serve. We take registration payment that holds your spot, at registration, so we don't hold any space for anything. If a wait list starts, our typical We're very proud of how we handle our wait list. We're typically work in order. Once a space becomes open, we contact the first person on the wait list and work our way down until we can fill that spot so that all of our classes remain full. And then it gives them the opportunity to be contacted. So we're always encouraging anybody, if there is a full class, please, please, please add to the wait list, because then you'll have the opportunity to be contacted if a space becomes available.
Thank you. Follow-up question on the homeless outreach. What do you see? I can't remember the name of the creek there along Diaz Road. What kind of, are you seeing an increase in activity in that area, and what have you seen for that?
So I believe you're talking about Murrieta Creek, right?
Yeah.
So along Diaz, across from the DMV. It's actually been pretty quiet lately, that area. Again, going back to the weather, it's been so wet in the creeks that we haven't had a lot of encampments lately. But again, we are starting to see some more. That's one of the spots we patrol, quite regularly, at least a couple of times a week. And so what we do with encampments is, with our city staff and then with assistance of CORE, we will go to all the creeks, hike them. We'll go out there with binoculars. The PD will take their razor sometimes if we need to, and we get really deep in there to try to find them. Again, to offer them resources. But anything that's in city property or Murrieta Creek's mostly flood control property, we're able to go in and remove those. And we have a license agreement with flood control, so we can get on top of those really quickly. We do have to provide a 72-hour notice, so just because we find them doesn't mean they have to leave right away. We have to provide an eviction notice, and then from there we go with, we begin the procedures, working with our contractors to get them removed. But Murrieta Creek's been pretty good right now. We do, expect that we will find some encampments during the summer as it's warmer, but we'll be on top of them, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. All right, our next report will be our cultural arts report, and we have Juliana Hansen here with us tonight. Welcome, Juliana.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Juliana. I'm a recreation leader at Temecula Valley Museum. Super happy to be here with you guys. Alrighty, starting with our arts and culture report. Arts and Culture team hosted Art Nights, formerly known as Art Off the Walls, and Gallery Reception on Friday, April 7th. In April, we had 14 different art vendors on the lot on Main and hosted the opening reception for Mighty Minis, a fundraising silent auction in support of the Theater Foundation and Arts Connection, which aims to raise enough funds to pay for local school bus fare for field trips to the theater. There were about 175 people who came to the event. And it was very successful. Continuing into this month, we have the Rotunda Gallery at Temecula Valley Museum continues to display Richard Allen May III's pieces. The gallery at Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library also continues to display Robert McGraw's artwork. Civic Center Gallery featured Tamara Gerard's gallery. And the Mighty Minis exhibit at the gallery at the Merc concluded on April 30th. Excited, yes. Community outreach had over 84,000 total views and reaches over 81,000. For stats, we surpassed the 6,000 follower mark on Instagram and Facebook. The team posted 6 reels with more than 75,000 views and 22 Instagram stories with almost 9,000 views. The 18 promotional posts from both social media platforms brought over 57,000 reaches. TCSD's community outreach team presented at this year's CPRS conference in San Diego and did a phenomenal job. For this fiscal year, the team also created and posted 45 Instagram reels and received over 288,000 views. Current and upcoming marketing projects are rebranding logo designs for Art Night, Art Fest, and Temecula Resource Center, along with video projects like Just the Facts with Zach video series, Temecula Alumni series video, and individual class instructor videos, and more. All right, next is inclusive services. This month was the annual spring sock hop with over 80 High Hopes participants enrolled. Participants enjoyed a delicious meal prepared by human services staff, as well as music and entertainment by Jeff Waddleton. Our next High Hopes program will meet on May 8th for a kickball tournament at Pat Birdsall Sport Park. Along with that, we have the Global Citizens Viticulture and Horticulture Vocational Program. A total of 10 students participated in the program, which included a tour of the Temecula Valley Museum. Attendees explored the history of Temecula's indigenous peoples, learned about their remarkable resilience and resourcefulness using only essential tools. Furthermore, the students learned how to construct bows and arrows for hunting and discovered which unique rocks helped grind food. Additionally, the group delved into the early days of California and Temecula history. All right. The Youth Advisory Council cleaned up the community garden at the Mary Phillips Senior Center. A total of 17 students attended. They were assigned to help maintain the community garden by removing all the weeds, leveling the soil in the garden beds, and throwing away any trash or waste. It was a tough job, but together as a team and as a community, the task was completed in less than an hour. Eagle Soar Playground and Splash Pad Inclusive Social Skills Program had a total of 55 participants and provided for families and children with disabilities to give them a safe and stress-free environment to socialize and play. The program runs from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Michael Mike Nagar Community Park. The city, in partnership with Disability Sports Foundation, hosts several recreation and enrichment activities that promote socialization and play. The next social skills session will be this summer. All right, now a look at senior services. This month's Senior Talk was about fall prevention, personal care, and companion care by Right at Home. There were 32 adults that attended, and we're delighted to hear the preventative advice and resources shared by Carmen Sanchez. Everyone was so thankful to attend, and special thank you to Right at Home for her fantastic insights. This month, the Senior Silver Shuttle Program provided seniors with free, safe, and accessible transportation to grocery shop and pick up their prescriptions. Seniors always look forward to their trips around town that keep them connected and thriving. Alrighty. The Temecula Valley Museum hosted over 2,502 patrons in the month of April. Museum staff were busy with an exhibit change at the beginning of this month of April. Through Darkness to Light, photographs along the Underground Railroad was installed in time to open on Friday, April 7th. This exhibit shows photographs of a journey along the Underground Railroad through night until sunrise. This exhibit will be on display until May 21st. For our curator's report, we had a donation of a printer's kit by Bill Vale, as well as some Temecula memorabilia donated. Along with that, the museum is getting ready to set up our QZM digital walking tour, thanks to a grant from the Rorapa Family Foundation. We're implementing a website for this digital walking tour, complete with an Old Town digital walking tour guide. We have Sister City update. The valued former host and delegate, Mrs. Michiko Funakoshi, passed away this month. Mayor Zach Schwenk sent a letter of condolences on behalf of the city. Social media update. The Temecula Valley Museum reached 2,000 followers on Instagram. We put together a giveaway swag bag and randomly drew the winner recently. In the swag bag, the winner received some merch from the Temecula Valley gift shop. We're excited at our account's continued growth. Tour recap. TVM hosted 9 schools in the month of April. Totals out to 12 tours throughout the month, which is 532 students, chaperones, and teachers. We couldn't have done this with this many tours without our wonderful volunteer docents who help us out every week. Special thanks to our 3 newest docents, Rosemary Kingsburg, Trish Keeley, and Kathy Huber. With these 3 docents fully trained, that brings our docent count to a total of 5, 6 including myself. We're looking forward to even more tours in the month of May. All right. On April 8th, Temecula Valley Museum opened our Temecula Culture Day event celebrating Macedonia. We had music by LA Macedonian Ensemble, as well as cultural food, including baklava, provided throughout the event. During the event, there were 2 craft opportunities for families, one provided by museum staff and another by Bigfoot Graphics. Special thanks to former Commissioner Kristevsky and his family for coming to April's Culture Day with his family. Along with the former commissioner, we were happy to host Margarita Gayicki, who showed off different Macedonian artifacts, including clothing and art. We're proud to represent the different cultures that make up Temecula through our Culture Day events. We had about 250 guests in attendance in April, with some even coming all the way from LA to check us out. All right. Here are some upcoming events in May, June through Museum Arts and Culture. Friday, May 12th is Art Nights with featured artist being Daniel Santos in the Merck Gallery. On Saturday, May 13th, Temecula Valley Museum celebrates Czech Republic and Slovakia for Culture Days from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also on Saturday, May 13th is our annual Spring Bazaar from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Sam Hicks Park. Come and support local crafters and artists. Lastly, come and see our newest exhibit, Walking in Antarctica, on display from Friday, June 16th to Sunday, August 13th. This exhibit features photographs, sculptures, and an audio narrative of the environment of Antarctica. Workforce development had an impact of 35 participants. Our Youth Innovators Program meets Wednesdays during the school year from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. In April, there were 3 meetings. There were 7 high school students per meeting on average. Students were able to facilitate different programs and city events, which included Junior STEM, College Fair, Rocktober, Young Women's Career Conference, Youth Innovation Conference, Youth and Entrepreneur, and Leadership Academy. Internship fellowships are offered year-round to undergraduate and graduate college students. There were 14 interns during the month of April in this program. Interns were completing their internships in following city departments: community services, economic development, human resources, and IT and support services. All right, that includes our full report, and we are available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. We appreciate your very thorough report. We enjoyed having you here with us tonight. It's
Thanks.
a treat. All right, we'll go ahead and take commissioners or comments. Boy, I'm off tonight. We will take comments and questions from our commissioners. We will begin with Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you, Chair Sizemore. Thank you, Juliana, for the report. Again, just a couple comments, all for the good. Really impressed with the multifaceted approach the city's using for outreach and what you shared about social media and also the different video efforts. I know I've seen a couple of those videos on the Temecula alumni and find those very interesting, being a longtime resident. Excited about the exhibit coming to the museum on Antarctica. And it was interesting, just getting a little update on the Youth Innovators Program. We had a full report on that, the workforce development last month. So to see students going to that and even in small groups, getting really focused instruction and developing their skills, good to hear more about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Castro?
Thank you for the report. That was very informative. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed the Lisa from Temecula video that they shot for the mayor. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. And I was at the Macedonia Day event, and the baklava got a big thumbs up from me on that one. And that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. Commissioner Hawks?
Thank you, Juliana, for the report. I have a quick question about the senior shuttle services. Can you elaborate a little bit how that works? Does it have a certain route or has a particular location that pick up seniors?
I can answer that. The seniors get to go to different locations. So for example, we take them to Target or the thrift store or shopping. So it's every Wednesday, it's available in 10 to 12. And so it's a different route each week. But seniors sign up. They get picked up from the Mary Phillips Senior Center or the TCC now. And Max, our driver, drives them, chaperones them with other city staff. I particularly enjoyed joining them at the thrift stores. So we've hit up several in Temecula and Marietta, but we also take them to places where they can get a little bit of groceries. And so each week is different, and then they sign up in advance.
That's really nice service for the senior. Are these seniors, they couldn't go shop on their own, so they come for this service?
I mean, they're not doing their full-on grocery shopping, but they are picking up a few odds and ends. We do have some seniors that do not drive at all or rely on family, so they take advantage of those opportunities when they see that we're going somewhere that they need to pick up, or some just like to go to walk around and they don't even purchase anything. It's just a nice little field trip for them to get them active and engaged and out in the community.
And the bus is provided by the city?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fully staffed with staff and chaperones. So we have, 2 or 3 adults or, full-time or part-time staff accompanying the seniors. But they're completely mobile. They take their walkers or, electric scooters if needed. But Max, I've been on a field trip with him. We also do excursions in that same shuttle, and he is a very safe driver. He's just so kind and considerate with the seniors, and I just love seeing the staff in action because I know that whether we're there or not, they're giving the same excellent customer service to all our seniors, and particularly our most vulnerable populations.
Yes, it's really nice to see we offer this kind of service because a lot of times for seniors, it's not easy for some of them to get out. And like you said, just going to the grocery store, it's like a trip for them. So thank you.
I think we can include on that silver shuttle, that is the bus that Mayor Schrank was able to find a grant last year. Was it last year, the year before?
2 years ago was the electric vehicle. It was able to expand the size because we just had a van before, and then a small bus, and then this is a larger capacity that allows us to take excursions, do the weekly trips for the Silver Shuttle, and then Max also picks up at certain senior centers, like assisted homes that we have en route to bring seniors that can't make it themselves to our facility.
Thank you, Bea. Vice Chair Audi?
Thank you, Juliana. And again, I think the report shows the range of cultural events we offer. And it gives, we continue to educate and give opportunities for people to enjoy all of the arts. And I made the comment earlier about how we're focused on an active community, but this is also a huge part of a happy and healthy community is how we present and appreciate the arts. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Audi. And thank you again, Juliana, for being here with us tonight. I am looking forward to Art Night. I have to get used to not saying art off the walls. I'm looking forward to Art Night. I enjoyed the Mighty Minis show. It was quite an honor to get to be there and see Miss Sasha Hope. She made an appearance. I always enjoy getting to be in her presence. And I'm excited. My husband is, he's bringing my son home from Utah right now, but I did get a call from him saying, we won one of those little mini pictures. And I'm like, which one? He's like, I didn't think to ask. I'm like, why did you not think to ask? That's an important question. So I'm excited to find out which mini we won. And I'm looking forward to this coming Friday when we get to have Art Night, not Art Off the Wall Night. I'm going to call it Art Off the Wall still. I'll probably slip occasionally. All right, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. And we've taken care of, we will move to our consent calendar. And on our consent calendar, we have approving the action minutes for the April 10th, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I move.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Hawks. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second from Vice Chair Audi. And will you go ahead and take a roll call vote, Tracy?
Yes. Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks,
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsburg,
Aye.
Vice Chair Audi,
Aye.
and Chairperson Sizemore.
Aye.
All right, the motion is approved 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And we miss having our director here, Miss Erica Russo, tonight. Erica, we are thinking about you. We miss you, and we look forward to getting to be with you again. But we also enjoy having Miss Bea Barnett with us tonight.
Thank you. I'm happy to represent. We have such a deep bench that we can all fill in. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight, particularly to address the homeless outreach questions, and for Evelyn's presentation. Public Works is definitely busy, and we are keeping them even busier. I want to just say that I'm extra proud of the education sessions that were presented at the CPRS conference. Willa, Mike, Maury, Katrina, Jeff, and myself, we all presented, we put ourselves out there, and it was a good time. We got a lot of great feedback. And if you'd like to see the official presentation of the 2023 CPRS Awards, that will be done at the Tuesday, May 23rd City Council meeting. At the beginning of the night, our CPRS representative, Kyla Brown, will be presenting to Melissa Davis, Sharice Turner, and Mike Morey as our representatives for our 3 awards. That concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Bea.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Bea from our commissioners? No? All right, thank you for being with us, Bea. We enjoy having you here. And now we'll go ahead and do our commissioner reports, and we will start with Commissioner Castro.
So one of the things I did this month was go to the comedy show, the comedy thing, and I'm a big fan of that. If you don't know, on the last Saturday of the month, they have a stand-up comedy show at the Merc. They actually help out people who go to bed early because they have a 7 o'clock show and then I think a 9 o'clock show. So you can go see stand-up comedy and be home by 8:30. But which the comedian Joe Sib he's from local guy from San Diego, but he took advantage of making comments about the age for the 7 o'clock show because we all seem to be a little older and wanting to go to bed early. So, I highly recommend going to see the stand-up comedy if you have a chance. I tried to go in April, but it was sold out, and this show was full too, so it seems to be very popular. So I'd like to, hopefully that continues the comedy show. The other thing I went to was the Abbey Road tribute band that played the Beatles, and it confirmed to me that I'm definitely a Paul. Vice Chairman Oddie tried to convince me I'm a Ringo, but I know deep down I'm a Paul, and I'll explain that to the younger people afterwards if anybody needs to know what that means. But that's my report. And I do want to follow up what Vice Chairman Oddie had to say about the scope of things available every month. When I come to these meetings, I'm amazed by how much the city is able to put on and help or provide for the community, and how much work you guys put into all of the activities. I'm sure the Rod Run was hundreds and hundreds of hours of work to do that, and the community services thing that was on the expo. I want to congratulate you on getting all those things done.
Thank you, Commissioner Paul. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Paul. I appreciate your comments. So what's Vice Chair?
I'm not one of the 4, the original 4.
You're the rogue.
I'm the guy that messed up and left the band before they got out. But I do know that Ringo will be performing at the stand-up at the Merc this month.
Do you want to go ahead and give your
I'll go
commissioner
ahead,
report?
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I mean, he mentioned the tributes. My wife wanted to go see the Carpenters, so I took her to that because I didn't want to go. And they were okay. They were okay. They were a Vegas show, and so I don't know about that one. But Cat Stevens was amazing. He was really good. He really nailed it, the guy, except his beard kept falling off, I think. But we have to get a little better glue next time. Other than that, I don't have much. Big month for us here at Community Services with Bike Month Proclamation starting tomorrow. And all kinds of great activities, Bike to Work. There's a Bike to School that's happening at Chaparral High School. So things are starting to really happen in terms of our active transportation infrastructure and making the community more active. So it's a big month to push this forward, and I'm really looking forward to it. Other than that, again, thanks very much, folks, for everything. Bea, Mike, all the stuff you're doing with homeless outreach. And, I think the good guys will win. Just keep it up. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So you told us your Cat Stevens moment. Have I ever told you my moment of watching, was it Queen Nation, their tribute? All right, so the lead singer's Freddie Mercury, of course, and he looks the part. He's got the clothes, he's got the moves, he's got the beard, he has a black leather hat. Awesome, we enjoyed the concert. We were sitting up in the boxes, so we kind of had this view of the off stage a little bit. So he goes off stage to get a drink of water and wipe the sweat off his head. He takes off the hat, completely bald. And so it was like, in a moment, it was just like, it's like, whoop, brr, not Freddie Mercury at all. So he puts the hat back on, I'm like, okay, I can get back into this. He goes off stage, drinks water again, I'm like, whoa.
You're
So-
giving away all the company secrets. I sat up there with a sold-out magician show, and now I know how they saw a lady in half. So I don't recommend sitting up there.
It can make or break it. All right, thank you. Commissioner Hawks?
I was at the Community Service Expo. I was at the tail end of it, so I saw all the staff were busy taking it down. So I know how much work that is. Yeah, so great job and congratulations to a great success. And I plan to go to quite a few events this month. This Wednesday, the museum, the art mural unveil Wednesday, and the summer pool party, the Memorial Day concert, and the Culture Fest, so quite a few. It'll be a busy May. And the last thing I want to comment, maybe give some constructive feedback, is about the STEM Science Fair. Last meeting, we had a fantastic presentation from Charles Walker, gave a scope of all the programs, including the science fair. Then just a few days later, I was notified that it was canceled. I signed up my son for it. Also, I want to support the program, and I have to convince him to participate because he didn't want to do it. It's a lot of extra work. So finally, I talked him into doing it. Then 2 weeks before the event, he already put a lot of work. It was canceled. So it's disappointing. So probably for the other participants, it's disappointing. So I'm thinking about how we can improve next year, because when he presented, it seems like that's a program we've had in the past. Maybe because of COVID, we took a break. So maybe there is expectation if that kind of program coming back, we expect it might have some roadblocks and low participation. And the second is maybe we can reach out to the local schools, to their STEM clubs, or just awareness. The third, I thought, instead of canceling, like they have the junior STEM program, they can still have the kids who signed up to go and bring their project to their peers and present it. At least then they will practice how to present it, and build their confidence. So a lot of good things instead of just canceling, because now it'll be really hard for myself, or probably for other parents, to convince the child to sign up next year, because he's going to say they might cancel again. So it'll be more resistance. So that's just my feedback. I totally understand. I reach out to the staff. They explained to me because of the low participation, but I just put my thinking cap on and think how, as a commissioner, how we can improve. We provide the first-class services and classes. So this area, I see it's growing, and he said there are more interest in this. Seems like I'm seeing a lot more participation from just observing the STEM program. So I would suggest maybe next year that we can take that into account.
Thank you. Those are excellent suggestions. I'm sure Charles will, if he's not already watching, we'll tell him tomorrow. I want you to know it's very difficult to make that call, but when it's not economically viable, we just have to cut it. However, when the Merc started, when Sherry was singing Jazz at the Merc to 5 people, it's like the show must go on, even if you're losing money. So you can build that audience. So we hear you, we understand you, and sometimes we have to go ahead and not make anything back or break even to then build that audience. So thank you for your feedback.
I totally agree. Just like the culture days, right? The museum day last year, I pretty much I went a lot of them to support it. It was a big difference from pre-COVID to post-COVID. But then I thought I want to keep going to showing support, and now it seems like after a year we're building back that audience, and then that takes time. So I appreciate you understand it and then taking the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, Commissioner Hawks. Having children, when my kids are at Rancho Christian, they did a science fair every year. So I know the pain being a parent with your kids going through the science fair. And a lot of times, she's right, those kids, your experiment starts, depending on the experiment, you could be working on it 6 to 8 weeks before the event. So that would be really disappointing if there was some way we could incorporate that into, not just cancel it on them. Yeah, I agree with that. And I had one question I wanted to know on the science fairs. I know my kids, when they were at Rancho Christian, we did the science fair. The winners of the science fair went up to Riverside County, and Riverside County had like a science fair that the kids would promote up to, or were we connected to that at all?
I don't believe so, but I can find out from Charles and get back to
Okay.
you tomorrow. But I don't believe it's a preliminary, it's just one that we
Okay.
were putting on ourselves.
Because that might be, I don't know if there's any way to get connected with that, because that might be a nice way that to give our youth an opportunity, because a lot of schools I've seen have cut out science fairs. So if our youth had an opportunity at the city level, that would still allow them to move up and compete in that, because that's an important thing for them to be able to do. So, thank you. Commissioner Kingsburg?
Thank you, Chair Sizemore. Yeah, I have a few things. I wanted to give a thank you to Tracy, our commissioner, for a meeting with Vice Chair Audie and I last month to just have preliminary conversation about Trails Day and what that might entail, and I'm looking forward to that event in early June. I was able to attend as a commissioner the city ribbon cutting for the Santa Margarita Ecological Reserve solar project on April 25th. It was nice to see Chair Sizemore and her daughter there, and I also got a chance to meet a couple of other city staff, executive staff who I had not met yet. This is a very impressive structure, which I understand is providing 3/4 of our power to our city facilities. So neat to see that, very unique event to attend. Also, shout out to Juliana, who's here tonight, for organizing the local history contest for the third graders. I signed on as a judge for that and didn't quite know what I was getting into, but got over to the museum and looked at around 40 or so projects, various things, poster boards, essays, models, and then there were another 30 or so video projects that I got to go through. So anyway, kudos to all the students who entered, and nice to see participation. And then finally, I was able to get over to Old Town last Saturday morning and for the show and shine, so I was glad to get over and see that, and all the updates we received, and I appreciate those updates, seem to confirm that it was a very successful event. So kudos to staff for that and the success involved in that. And I actually ran into two of my former teaching colleagues from the Temecula Valley School District who I had no idea were into car restoration. And so, you see people in a different light, and they've developed these hobbies, which is great. But I can just imagine how much business was brought into this area, through that event on Friday and Saturday. So just spectacular. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kingsburg. Juliana, how many entries were there compared to last year?
So last year we had 11. This year we had 76.
Oh my
We got a
goodness.
huge bump, and that was thanks in part to how many field trips we got scheduled this year. Because, like I said, all of April was completely booked, and now all of May is even more booked. Next week we have Tuesday through Friday. Every day is a field trip. So yeah, 76.
Wow.
Yeah, the winners, I believe, were announced. I believe I have a video that I sent to the schools that I can share as well.
Oh, yes, please
Yeah.
share that. I feel bad I didn't judge this year, but I know I had a hard time choosing between 11. I can't even imagine 70. My goodness, I would have been there all day. I would have had to bring a lunch.
So I split it up this year so that you wouldn't have to be there all day. So the in-person ones, you were judging at the museum, and then we made an online judging sheet for the video presentations, which were,
Good.
yeah, because it would have taken hours.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Wow, that is incredible. It is incredible to see things just growing and our residents coming out here as we're post-COVID. Awesome, that is great. I'll just share, again, accolades on the Community Services Expo. I did have an opportunity to ride my bicycle down here, and I appreciate Community Services letting me park it in the little welcome center because there was no bike valet. There was no bike valet, so they let me park it in there. So I do appreciate that. But it was just an absolutely incredible event. You guys should be very proud of yourselves. You did an amazing job, and it was so enjoyable to walk around and see so many families out enjoying themselves and having a good time. I just love seeing the events that we hold out there in that town square park. It's just really, really neat. It's just a really Mayberry-like feeling, if that makes sense, just seeing everybody out there enjoying themselves. It was fantastic. So thank you, and congratulations on a wonderful event. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn our meeting, and we will meet again on Monday, June 12th at 6 p.m.